I was a child of the thalidomide era. It was a tragedy that shocked the world. Thousands of babies were born with birth defects, and after one of the biggest medical disasters in history. It happened back in the 50s and 60s. It'll be 2020 in a couple of months. Survivors are, rightly so, sick of waiting for the apology and compensation promised.
How I woke up yesterday is a little bit different than how I woke up today. Things that we could do, simple things like brushing our teeth or toileting or showering, it's becoming more and more difficult, and the fear for all of us is that today is the best day that we're going to have and tomorrow is more decline.
Lisa McManus has been living side by side with this fear for most of her adult life. Her mother, in her early pregnancy, took 2 doses of Distaval, and that sealed Lisa's fate. She was one of thousands of thalidomide babies born in the 50s and 60s in one of the world's largest pharmaceutical disasters.
And for the government to sit.
But after an uphill battle for recognition and compensation, for a brief moment earlier this year, there was a glimmer of hope.
A win for thalidomide survivors today, with a Senate committee recommending an apology and ongoing compensation to help with medical expenses.
In March, a Senate committee looking into the treatment of thalidomiders had recommended a raft of changes, including an apology from the federal government, ongoing financial compensation and an extraordinary assistance fund to help thalidomiders meet major expenses like home and vehicle modifications.
We felt vindicated, we felt validated, we felt optimistic that the recommendations were hearing us, and that they'd actually acknowledged that what support was in play for us at the moment was inadequate.
But that joy was short-lived. Fast forward 6 months and not one of the 11 recommendations has been put into action. A formal response has been pushed back until 2020. And now the government has offered Australian thalidomiders a memorial garden in Canberra, the top paddock at the National Arboretum. Not exactly accessible for many of the survivors who rely on wheelchairs.
What are we going to do with the garden? How is that going to help me get out of bed in the morning? How is that going to, get me to my physio classes? How is that going to take the pain away from my life? And the reality is it won't.
Lisa doesn't want to appear ungrateful. She's been to the memorial garden with a fellow thalidomider who was wheelchair bound, and they found it wasn't mobility friendly, and that the garden itself was only in its infancy.
And in short, it's not suitable. It's going to be a vision, absolute vision in 15 to 20 years.
Have you got 15 to 20 years though?
No, we haven't got 20, probably haven't got 5 to 10 years.
It really doesn't pass the pub test, does it? Like, it's got stench all over it.
Lisa's husband Andrew doesn't want to hold back anymore. He spent years with Lisa, helping her fight for the rights of thalidomiders, and with her disability now beginning to rob her of her independence, he's had to step back from work and become her sole carer.
Greg Hunt should be disgusted with himself. That's what he's coming up with. Some pissant veggie patch up on the bloody top of the hill.
The government certainly has an obligation to those survivors, and many of them are in a difficult position. And what's called for is not just a plaque in a park and an apology, but also really meaningful financial support.
Michael Magazanik is a partner at Rightside Legal. He represented Australian thalidomiders in their claim a few years ago, settling with the distributor Distillers. Magazanik has seen all the evidence and also believes that many Australian thalidomiders could have a claim against the Australian government.
There was no question the drug was severely damaging unborn babies. At that point, the Australian government should have completely withdrawn the drug, contacted doctors, pharmacists, raised the alarm about the drug and got it out of circulation.
Lisa and Andrew have collected years of paperwork, folders documenting the Australian government's response to thalidomide, including this letter from the distributor to Australian doctors dated the 29th of November 1961.
The Distillers Company, Biochemicals Limited, London, have received reports from 2 overseas sources which may associate thalidomide with harmful effects on the fetus in early pregnancy.
This letter shows that the dangers of thalidomide were known, yet the drug was not recalled at the time.
It must fill you with some hope, knowing that you have all this documentation, including this letter, when you think about maybe a potential class action in the future.
Absolutely. This letter is probably our most powerful to date.
Like most thalidomide survivors, Lisa's body is older than her age. She's 56, but doctors say her health is the equivalent of someone in her 80s.
She's just seized up, and emotionally it's taking a huge toll on her.
And taking a toll on you too, I imagine. It would be hard to watch.
Oh yeah, it is. It's hard. We've gone from a dual income family to just pretty much, well, living on peanuts these days.
And there's been days that I wake up and I just sort of sag and I say, I don't think I can do today. And he'll comfort me, he'll cuddle me, we'll debrief, he'll say, what's happening, how you feeling, what's going on. And then when I feel good, he'll push me out of bed and say, well, go get him, Tiger. So
Lisa says she's one of the lucky ones. She found love, gave birth to 2 beautiful children, and where many would have given up, she's found the resolve to keep fighting for the rights of thalidomiders for decades. This garden won't be her story's final chapter.
we don't feel for one second that we're being unrealistic. You know, I guess the realism of it is how much is a pair of arms really worth? How much, Minister Hunt, are they worth?
Yeah, that is a very good question, Lisa. We approached Minister Hunt for comment, but he did not want to go on camera. Instead, he sent us a statement saying a response to the Senate inquiry will be provided in the coming weeks. We'll hold him to that. These survivors have already waited a lifetime. Don't drag it on any longer, Minister.